Dear Greg, the other day I dropped off my fiancé, Mark, at the fitness center and then used his car to do some errands. I told him I'd pick him up at 8. I got done with my errands early, so I went home to rest a bit. At 7:45 I was getting ready to leave to get Mark, but my mother called and she really needed to talk to me. We talked for longer than I realized, and it was 8:45 by the time I got to the fitness center. Mark was really mad that I was late. He had to be somewhere else, and he said I'd made him late. I explained that my mother called, but he said I should have told her to call another time, because I had an obligation to pick him up. In fact, he wonders if I'm ready to get married, because he thinks after we're married I'll keep putting my mother before him. He just doesn't understand that if I'd interrupted her, my mother would have gotten mad at me. She can really get difficult when you don't do what she wants. I think he's pretty unreasonable. What do you think?
You made a commitment to Mark that you would pick him up at 8. Unless your mother was calling to say that she'd fallen and broken her hip, or she had arterial blood gushing from somewhere, you had an obligation to meet him and return the car at the time you agreed upon. You ignored the promise you made to Mark, and that was a mistake on your part. No doubt about that. I know you wanted to be considerate of your mother, but you had made a prior commitment to Mark, and you had an obligation to keep that before finishing a conversation with your mother. It would have been a very simple thing to say, Mom, I want to finish this conversation with you, but Mark is waiting on me. I have his car, and I'm the only transportation he has from the fitness center. I have to leave right now to pick him up, and I'll call you when I get back. End quote. Simple as can be. She was not dying. She could wait. Now, you need to examine why you felt so obligated to talk to your mother and make Mark wait, because this will tell you a lot about you, your mother, and the way you were raised by her. You said that she would have gotten mad if you'd interrupted her while she was talking, which means that you stayed on the phone with her for only one reason. Not because you were concerned about her happiness, but because you were afraid of her anger. You have a strong need to avoid doing anything that displeases her, which puts you in the terrible position of having to please her all the time. Essentially, you are a slave to her approval. You do not have a healthy relationship with your mother. Instead, you're a hostage to your own mother. And actually, that's a fairly common situation between parents and children. Parents commonly use their children for a feeling of power. They believe that because they've given their children so much over the years, they're entitled to manipulate their children for all the time, attention, respect, gratitude, or whatever else they want in return. It's a very unhealthy situation, and we'll talk more about this in our next session.